1972 was a year where soul music felt raw, intimate, and close enough to touch. Not every voice from that year became a household name. Some shined bright for one brief moment, then slipped into the corners of memory. Today, we're bringing those moments back. The songs that deserve to stay with us forever. Number 10. I've Been Lonely for So Long by Frederick Knight. This one is pure Southern soul, recorded down in Muscle Shoals and released on Stax's subsidiary label, Truth. Frederick Knight wasn't a superstar. He was still hustling, still trying to find his place. And that's exactly why this record hits so deeply. You can hear the hunger. You can hear the late nights and hopeful mornings in every note. The story goes that Knight originally wrote songs for others, quietly sitting in the back of sessions while bigger names took the spotlight, sure. But when he stepped up to the mic for this track, everything aligned. That easy, swampy guitar line, the organ humming behind him, and a rhythm that felt like a slow walk home under streetlights after a long day. The song briefly climbed the charts, touched radio, moved hearts. And then, just like that, the moment passed. But listen again now.
To have your friends turn their backs on you, yes, I've been lonely.
It feels like your cousin talking to you on a front porch summer night. It feels human. If that one hit stirred the ache of longing, this next one is all about starting over when life gives you another shot. Number 9. Everybody Plays the Fool by The Main Ingredient.
Everybody plays the fool sometimes.
Now, this was the sound of being vulnerable in public, but doing it with a little style. Released in 1972 on RCA, The Main Ingredient were a Harlem trio who had been grinding for years, trying to break through in the crowded soul scene.
You sit around moping, crying.
Cuba Gooding Sr. had just stepped in as the new lead vocalist after the heartbreaking passing of their original singer, Donald McPherson. The group could have fallen apart right there. Many thought they would. Instead, they turned Pain into one of the most tender, honest records of the decade.
There's no exception to the rule.
The lyrics weren't flashy. The groove wasn't loud. But that arrangement, those lilting strings, the gentle horn replies, the way Cuba Gooding Sr. delivered each line with a half smile of acceptance. It was a warm arm around your shoulder. It said, yeah, love hurts, but we're all in this together.
How can you help it when the music stops?
The song floated up to the top 5 and earned heavy radio rotation, yet the group never captured that same moment again. Life moved forward. Time rolled on. But every time this track returns, on late night FM radio, in a quiet cafe, in the soundtrack of someone's memory, it feels like a sigh you didn't know you needed.
Your heart just like a tune. Listen, baby.
If that was a slow, knowing nod to heartbreak, our next track brings a groove that hit hard on the dance floor, and then disappeared just as fast. Number 8. Starting All Over Again by Mel and Tim.
All over again, it's gonna be rough.
This one came straight out of Chicago and carried the spirit of second chances. Mel and Tim were cousins from Mississippi, discovered almost by accident when their harmonies caught the attention of the legendary Gene Chandler. Yes, Duke of Earl himself.
We lost what we had, that's what hurt us so bad.
By the time 1972 rolled around, they were signed to Stax's Stax Volt label, hoping lightning would strike twice after their earlier minor success. Starting All Over Again wasn't flashy. It didn't shout. It glowed. A slow, easy groove, a guitar that felt like the first breeze of spring, and two voices that sounded like they'd lived 100 heartbreaks and were still choosing love anyway.
Starting all over again is gonna be slow.
Rumor has it the recording session was quiet, almost reverent. Engineers said you could feel something healing itself in the room. The track climbed the R&B charts and even crossed over, yet Mel and Tim could never quite find that momentum again. But listen now, and you'll feel it. The porch swing creaking, the screen door closing, that gentle promise that life gives you another chance if you're willing to take it.
Uphill climb, yes, to the finish line.
If that brought the tenderness, the next one brings a little fire. A groove you might have forgotten, but your body remembers. Number 7, Do Your Thing by Charles Wright and the Watts 103rd Street Rhythm Band.
Do your thing, whatever it is.
Now this groove right here came out of Los Angeles, born from the heat, movement, and spontaneous creativity of the early 70s West Coast soul scene. Charles Wright and his band weren't smooth in a polished Motown way. They were raw, loose, and funky. The kind of musicians who sounded like they'd just set up in a backyard barbecue and let the music fly.
If you please. Everybody.
Do Your Thing was all about freedom, not just lyrically, but in its structure. The band stretched notes, jammed, laughed through the chords, and rode that rhythm like it could go on forever. No hurry, no pressure, just presence. Some DJs used to let this one roll for 6-7 minutes at a time because it felt like the heartbeat of the block. The band had flirted with success before, especially with Express Yourself.
In the jungle, babe.
But this track was their moment of pure, unfiltered identity. And yet, once the soul and funk tides shifted, the world moved on. The group eventually faded from national memory, their contributions tucked into those crates labeled deep cuts. But if you were alive when this hit, you will remember the joy, the open windows, the bass rattling the dashboard, people smiling just for the sake of smiling.
Do your thing, everybody.
And if you listen today, your shoulders start moving before your mind even catches up. If that one was free-spirited funk, the next track brings smooth, late-night elegance, something for the lovers. Number 6, Source, Burning Love by Arthur Alexander.
Lord Almighty, I feel my temperature rising.
Arthur Alexander was one of those artists other musicians quietly worshipped. Everyone from the Rolling Stones to the Beatles covered his songs, yet most listeners never learned his name. By 1972, Alexander had stepped away from the spotlight, working regular jobs and thinking his chance at stardom had passed. Then came Burning Love, recorded in a small Nashville studio with a sound that blended soul warmth with just a hint of country grit.
Girl, you're gonna set me on fire, yeah.
Now, here's the twist. This version came first, before Elvis Presley turned it into a rock hit. Alexander's original was slower, smokier, more pleading. You can almost picture the room, dim lights, that worn-in studio carpet, musicians leaning into the emotion rather than chasing radio polish. When he sang Burning Love, it wasn't showmanship, it was confession. For a brief moment, it looked like this would be the comeback.
Ooh-wee, I feel my temperature rising, yeah.
The fire, the renewal. But the industry machine rolled on, and Alexander once again slipped back into the shadows, loved by artists, rarely recognized by the masses. Listening now, his voice feels like someone pouring their heart out across a kitchen table at 2 a.m. Honest, raw, unforgettable. And speaking of unforgettable, we're about to enter the top 5 where the grooves get deeper and the stories hit harder.
It's coming closer, the flames are now licking my body, yeah, babe.
If these forgotten gems are him-sparking memories, hit like. It helps keep classic soul alive in the algorithm. And stick with us. The next 5 tracks are pure magic. Number 5 dawned, Lean on Me by Bill Withers. Early demo. Original R&B impact. Now, before you say it, yes, Bill Withers is absolutely not a one-hit wonder. But the moment this song arrived in 1972, it was treated like a simple little tune from a factory worker turned songwriter who many in the industry still didn't believe would last. Remember, this was before Lovely Day. Before The Legacy, before the documentaries. Bill was still just that guy from Slab Fork, West Virginia, writing songs on his lunch break. Lean on Me wasn't made in some luxury studio. It was cut with musicians who knew how to leave space, how to breathe inside a track. Just piano, percussion that felt like footsteps on a wooden floor, and Bill's voice, steady and kind, like a friend knocking gently on your door. But here's what made this song quietly revolutionary. It didn't ask listeners to be tough. It didn't posture. It said, we don't have to go through life alone. And in '72, a year of political exhaustion, heartbreak, and rebuilding, that message hit like a warm sunrise. While Withers went on to become a legend, this song's original breakthrough moment felt like a one-time lightning strike. A song that didn't just chart. It changed how soul music felt. If that was a gentle hand on the shoulder, this next one? It's a velvet suit, a dimly lit club, and a dance floor you still remember by heart. Number 4, Wish That I Could Talk to You by the Sylvers. This one came right out of Los Angeles, where the Sylvers were a family band long before the Jacksons dominated the TV specials. 1972 was the year they were just stepping into their shine. Teenagers with bright smiles, tight harmonies, and a sound that blended doo-wop sweetness with early funk shimmer.
Into my life, there comes a...
Wish That I Could Talk to You was their first real taste of national attention, released on Pride, MGM, and produced by Jerry Butler. Yes, the Iceman himself. The track has that breezy West Coast strut, bass line walking proud, percussion snapping clean, and those group vocals wrapped like sunlight over the melody. But beneath the smoothness was something tender, a kind of young longing that felt universal.
But now that you're gone, girl, I found it.
The song didn't shout heartbreak. It glowed with the ache of wanting to say how you feel, but not yet knowing how. They hit the charts, they hit Soul Train, they hit teen magazines. And it looked like the Sylvers were about to become the next big family dynasty. But as trends shifted, labels shuffled, and disco began to reshape the industry, this early gem slipped into memory while later songs overshadowed it. Listen now, though, and it feels like a warm summer afternoon on the porch, like your first crush, like innocence with rhythm. And if that one captured the glow of young love, the next track brings us to a slow-burning groove from a voice that deserved far more spotlight than it ever got. Number 3, Show and Tell by Johnny Taylor, original 1972 soul version. Before Al Wilson made this song a radio staple the following year, Johnny Taylor, not Johnny Taylor of Stax fame, but Johnny Taylor, the lesser-known Los Angeles vocalist, released the original recording in Me 72 on the Wiz label. And his version? It was pure velvet and amber soul, slower, more intimate, less radio sparkle, more late-night confession. Johnny had one of those voices that felt like he had lived every word he was singing, not polished, not perfect, but real.
Eyes that never knew how to smile till you came into my...
You can hear the ache in his breath, the tenderness in his phrasing, like someone standing at your front door, flowers in hand, rehearsing their heart before they knock. But here's where it gets bittersweet. His version never got its moment. It was overshadowed almost immediately when the industry decided to repackage the song with bigger budgets and broader promotion.
Here is the man who needs to know where you stand, don't you know?
So while the song became a hit, Johnny Taylor's original performance slipped into the margins of soul history, the kind of record you find years later in a dusty crate and wonder how the world ever let it go. To hear it now is to be transported back to a dim lounge with amber lights glowing low over small round tables. A slow dance, two hands intertwined, a promise, whispered, not shouted. If that one was a candlelit room, the next track takes us somewhere more spiritual, a soul gospel blend that rose like prayer from the floorboards. Number 2, Walk Away From Love by David Ruffin, 1972 version pre-release sessions. Now, David Ruffin was far from a one-hit wonder. His voice is permanently carved into the Mount Rushmore of soul. But in 1972, before the official release and success of the later 1975 David Ruffin version, there existed a raw, aching early cut, recorded while Ruffin was transitioning out of the Temptation spotlight and wrestling with the industry, identity, and his own heart.
It's not that I don't love you.
This version quietly circulated among DJs, jukebox distributors, and late-night soul programs. A version where David wasn't performing for chart approval. He was pleading. You can hear the tension in it, the sound of a man trying to hold on to dignity as love slips through his fingers. The arrangement is more sparse than the polished later release. Fewer strings, more space between the beat, just Ruffin, a small studio band, and a heart that was trying its best not to break on tape.
Ooh, you're clinging to me tighter.
This track never charted in '72. It wasn't backed, pushed, or promoted. But those who heard it, the collectors, the quiet fans, the ones tuned in after midnight, they knew. They said, "This is David Ruffin's soul, unfiltered." And for a moment, even without the spotlight, his voice filled the room like gospel for the lonely.
That even I don't understand, so I'm leaving.
And speaking of voices that deserved more light, Number 1, Mr. 1, is a masterpiece that time tried to bury, but the heart remembers. Number 1, In the Rain by the Dramatics. Few songs in soul history capture atmosphere the way this one does. Released in 1972 on Volt Stax, In the Rain was the Dramatics moment. A track that didn't just play, it surrounded you. That rainfall sound effect wasn't just a gimmick. It set the emotional stage, drawing listeners into a world of quiet reflection and tender sorrow. Ron Banks's lead vocal floated like mist over Detroit pavement. The harmonies rose behind him like streetlights in the fog. The arrangement was slow, patient, luxurious. A song that wasn't afraid of silence, of breath, of pause. It made room for memory. And here's a story many forget. This track almost didn't make the album. It was considered too slow, too atmospheric, too different. But when radio DJs started spinning it during their late-night romance blocks, The phone lines lit up. Couples called in crying. People pulled their cars over to finish listening. The song climbed the charts, and then, for many, vanished as the decade shifted. But play it today, and time stops. You're standing by a window, forehead against the glass, watching the rain trace its path. And somehow, in that moment, everything makes sense. This wasn't just a song, it was a place we all visited once. From Muscle Shoals whispers to West Coast sunshine grooves, from family band harmonies to soulful confessions sung under the glow of streetlights, 1972 gave us treasures that deserve to be remembered. These artists may not have stayed in the spotlight, but their music never truly left us. Thank you for taking this soul stroll with us today. If you're feeling the nostalgia, hit subscribe. Let's keep this groove alive. And when you're ready, click the end screen to continue the journey. Next up, 10 forgotten one-hit R&B wonders from 1961. Let's keep the rhythm rolling.